All right, it's going to be a quick breakdown on some things about Brawl Ice Climbers that I think a lot of people kind of maybe take for granted in the modern game, or maybe not take for granted, or I don't know, maybe they don't even know about it. That could be the opposite of taking it for granted. But this is going to be more of a. It's definitely not going to be a beginner's ice climber tutorial. I don't think it's more of a intermediate to advanced ice climbers tutorial. Tutorial's not even the right word. Maybe it's just like an option selection kind of discussion or thoughts or how to best pilot the character. And as I speak, it occurs to me maybe I should be in Battlefield to go over some of these things. That might be a better place to start. All right, so ice climbers are famous for the chain grab and for desyncing, and we all kind of know that. And people tend to just think about, what are the best ways to desync the ice climbers, and I guess everybody knows the best way to start. It's the chain grab, because technically they're desynced. If you think about where they are, one character is holding them, the other character is free to do whatever they want, right? You can do all kinds of stuff. You can like smash, but you can always be free to regrab. That's technically desynced, so to speak. Excuse me. But I guess talking about that as a desync is, a little bit too easy, because obviously, one of my favorite answers when somebody asks, "Oh, what's the fastest way to desync or the easiest way to desync as an ice climber main?" It's well, let your opponent hit you and you'll desync eventually, and that's the easiest way to desync because you don't have to do anything. And that's also not a very, very helpful answer, I think, to that question, even though it's kind of funny to me. But I do want to come up with a way to kind of guide some thoughts on how to use different desync options as opposed to just using one desync option and just kind of hoping your opponent runs into stuff. Because, in a certain respect, I'm kind of the opinion as maybe being the last of the really desynced ice climber players in that style still around, that proper desync play leads to a lot of pressure options that can force more grabs than the sync style of play that you just kind of wait for mistakes and capitalize on it. So let's kind of talk about that for a second. What are some first things to think about? A couple things to think about. There's time where people or certain states make it so the characters can't move. So like if I roll, there's time before my shield comes up, and that's like the first frames that I can act on. Or if I spot dodge, there's time before my shield come up, and that's similarly smash attack. There's time before my shield pops up, which is the first frame that I'm able to act upon. And that's optimally speaking, that's how you abuse the desync window. You put your climber into a state where one of them is locked in an animation and can't act, and then the other one is free to act, and that's like what that desync state is about. But right now I'm not talking about what you do in that state, because there's a whole entire meta of stuff that you can do, while you're desynced. What I'm trying to talk about right now is the options that you pick going from, this standing neutral situation to getting desynced, aka desyncing. So I guess the title on this, maybe I should change it. I should put desyncing. What's it called? A guide, not desync discussion. So I'm gonna put desyncing real quick, and that'll help clarify some of what I'm talking about here, and we'll call that good. All right, so like we were talking about, there's a time factor to think about, like what moves and options that you can pick that lock up a certain climber, so there's that you're able to make certain actions during that locked out phase of one climber. The other thing to factor is the space that something takes. Like in the same way, if you smash attack, that has a different range than if you jab, which has a different range than if you grab. The desyncs that you do in and of itself also have different spacing requirements. This is kind of what I think mostly that I want to get into, that I think people don't really think about all that much. So tell me if you've seen this before in a match. The ice climber's running away, they go like this, and then they desync out of it. Sorry, I don't use this anymore. so I'm not as like perfectly good at it. So they run away, they dash dance 3 times, and then they all of a sudden that's the option that they pick, right? That's like, I think, back in the heyday when you're talking like, you know, the Vinny, the 9B types, that's the one that they defaulted to. And the reason they defaulted to that is twofold. One, it's fairly easy. Yeah, maybe threefold. There's 2 reasons I can think of that they do that. Number one, it's fairly easy to execute. Number 2, it keeps Nana really close to you if you like look. Like Nana's like all next to Popo, so there's not a lot of space in between where Popo is and where Nana is. Like as compared to a similar, like let's say instead of doing 3 dash dances, I do 2 of them, right? You can see Nana separates away from Popo a little bit more than before resyncing up spacing wise, right? As opposed to you see how Nana's right like synced into Popo, at least from a spacing standpoint, as opposed to the 2, right? There's a whoops. There's quite a bit of distance between Nana and Popo, at least to at the initiation of it. And there's pros and cons, you know, to that situation. So there are 3 reasons I said that they could do it. It's easy. It's easy. Nana's really close to Popo. What was the other one that I was thinking of? I knew I had a third one. I've lost. Oh, it's because Nana doesn't attack. So there are desyncs that you can do where Nana doesn't attack and you can come out and grab off of it, but or not Nana, Popo doesn't attack and you can come off and grab with it with Nana. But the problem is that if you do this incorrectly, it's possible to get Nana out of the sync range. So that way, if you do get a grab, like you saw there, I didn't input that back through. That was just the game inputting the back through, and I couldn't do anything about it. So in that situation, that's where you get a grab on your opponent, but you don't actually get to convert it into the infinite. It's it sucks. It's just something that a lot of ice climbers try to avoid. So the best way to do that is to make it so Nana is doing the special option, and then it's Popo that's the one that's doing the grabbing, and then the AI will automatically have Nana run to you when it when it comes time. See, Nana's gonna run to me, and then I can continue the grab from there. So there's those are the major reasons to do the triple dash dance. So, but there are other ways to get it such that Nana is able to do the special option from the desync or after the desync, such that and Popo is able to do the grab, but it doesn't have the same requirements of the triple dash dance. So, like one of the ones I had just showed you, if you think about it, is a 2 dash dance one. Nana's doing special right there. And what are the advantages for that one? The first one that I can think of is this. So I'm gonna do a triple dash dance desync, and tell me if you notice something real quick. I end up right here, right? Oops. So if you didn't notice, the triple dash dance desync versus the double dash or 2 dash dance desync, there's 2 advantages to that. Number one, the 2 dash dance desync is faster than the triple dash dance, because if you think about it, there's only 2 dash dances as opposed to 3. So there's 3 to 5 frames of dash dancing that you're not doing in that particular situation to get that desync out. The second one is that the spacing requirement is not as high. I'm like right here on this brick for the double dash dance, but if I triple dash dance, I'm a little bit further. I'm like, as opposed to here, oops, right here, I was over here. So there's like a full ice climber like distance of spacing that you need for a triple dash dance desync as opposed to a 2 dash dance desync. And that doesn't sound like it's very important, but if you get into situations where when you're going for a grab and your primary option that you're going for is a shield approach in, that one length of ice climber might actually be the difference between you power shielding a move and getting a grab versus eating an attack to the face. So the spacing requirements for that 2 dash dance desync is actually advantageous in a lot of situations. But one of the cons for it is, as you can see, I was messing it up a little bit. Um, the 2-dash dancing sync is a little bit harder. Although I use it with Blizzard a lot easier, and I feel like the timing's a little more lenient, so that I don't have to worry about it as much messing up. So the execution barrier is not as high as I might make it out to be. But keep in mind that, and also keep in mind that if you adopt certain desyncing patterns as your go-tos in situations, it also makes the execution barrier a little bit easier. So, I can do the triple dash dance, but I'm still a little bit further out in front. The other factor to consider is that with Nana further away from you, when you initiate the move, it makes it less likely, in my opinion, that your opponent, while trying to hit Popo and space Popo away, accidentally hits Nana. If I were to come here and do the 2-dash dance, Nana's a little protected because of the distance between the two of them. That it's like if a Marth Fair comes out right there, it would not hit Nana in the same way that it would hit Popo. And I did a big long write up why that might actually be super advantageous to Ice Climbers that I'm not going to go into now, but check Smashboards if you're interested. It's in my Ice Climbers 2023 and beyond thread. You'll see the one I'm talking about. It's the Marth Killer, so to speak. That option is not necessarily as present if you do a triple dash dance DC. Another thing to consider is maybe you want to have a desyncing option that is not aggressive, that you have no forward space. Like let's say instead of being in the middle of the stage and you want to do a desyncing option, let's say you're over here and you have no stage to work with. You could do a neutral spaced one. Right here, you could do this. Nana. Whoops. Oh, maybe the ledge messed up. There we go. See that? Very neutral space. And that's just you do the standing Nana turnaround desync and then do a shield flash. So that was one of the things I was mentioning about like certain moves also have a certain timing that do the lockout. So you can abuse the shield drop lockout in order to have Popo do a move and then have Nana follow it up. So one of the things I have to do is that, where you spot dodge instead with Nana doing a blizzard. But that's like a neutrally spaced option that you can do. What are the cons of it? Well, the cons of it is it's not as aggressive as the triple dash dance desync. So let's say we're in this situation and you want to put pressure onto the Meta Knight and cover more space, like they're the Meta Knight's landing down and you want to put a desync option down. Doing a standing Nana right there and chasing after them is probably not going to be as much pressure as if you were to put a 2-dash blizzard down instead, because it doesn't close the gap. So there are situations where playing this down is a little bit more defensive, so it's not as offensive oriented in my opinion. Although by and large, a lot of these syncs as being grab setups, they are offensive just in nature. There's something that's there's always that turnaround factor that makes them a really potent weapon and definitely a scare factor for people to think about. Sorry about that. Another factor to consider is that sometimes it's not easy. Like you can see me like accidentally rolling, but again, it's something that you can practice and roll out. And like I mentioned, it being defensive in nature, there's something to consider that maybe it is not worth going for a desyncing option in a situation that you kind of have to be defensive on some level. Like if you're right here against the Meta Knight, maybe desyncing in the face of the Meta Knight with even this defensive desync, it's not the option that you want to play for. Like maybe there's something safer that you can do, like just shield and try to threaten your way out of it while synced. That might be something to consider. That's if you're having to be defensive while doing any of these desync options, maybe desyncing is not opportune at that moment. So that's something to think about as well. But I would not throw it out completely. I think you should keep that option in mind as a in your toolbox. I like to default to the standing Nano one, especially in matchups with a lot of projectiles, because if you're dashing around, that means that you can't put your shield up, right? So I like to be able to do the standing turnaround desync so that I can bring up shield, really quick, just in case the opponent is throwing projectiles and throwing Nana behind you. a little bit when you do it is also helpful and it protects her from projectiles. So, it's something to that's useful to keep in mind. And pro tip: this is not something I'm going to really go over in extensively, but if Popo's gets hit on shield by a projectile, that gives you a bigger window to desync a lot of times because of the shield hit lag. But you didn't hear that from me. You heard it from someone else. Cough, cough. Anyway, on to the next part. Another defensive option that you could consider is, and this is like stuff that none of the other ice climbers are doing yet, but something that I've been talking about for, I guess, over a decade at this point. You can do buffer desync. So out of roll, you could do a desyncing option right there. Straight to a grab setup, which is kind of nutty. Oops, why am I? Why is that happening? All right, there you go. So you see that you can do a grab setup just to if you do a buffered forward walk out of back roll to reverse dash to an ice shot, then you have a grab setup straight out of roll. It's kind of reminiscent of the melee desync options actually. How come I can't do it consistently? There we go. I think my controller's a little bit bad. In order to do that, the buffered ones, you have to be able to move your control stick really fast without a lot of snapback. And I think my controller that I have has more snapback than I would like to admit. But I'll die probably before I buy a new one. So yeah, that roll one's an option, and then of course you can always just run away, shield flash, and then do a buffered desync out of shield. And I think this is like faster and more optimal than the triple dash stance desync. You see the time cost between the two, because I'm buffering a forward walk out of and then a reverse initial dash out of shield. It sounds complicated, but it's not that hard if you get good at it. And I think that's a little bit better than the triple dash stance. At least it's faster, and if you're running away, you're already trying to be defensive, so that covers a lot of space that you don't have when you triple dash stance, but you can retain that when doing it just straight out of shield. Actually, you don't even have to flash your shield. You can mix it up and do it out of skid. I'm not good at this one, but I know it's possible. There it is. I just did it straight out of skid right there. You don't even have to shield in that scenario. And that might be a mix-up because I know a lot of people that used to be, I don't know if people do this anymore, but back in the day, people used to, and when they really got the match, if they saw me flash my shield, they would know that I'm going to go for a grab setup. But if I could do it without the shield, it can kind of confuse them a little bit. They're not looking for it. So you do it that way as well. Sometimes it matters which way you're facing too. So for example, if you're facing forward and you you can do a quick grab setup desync out of dash. Let me do this. See if I can do this. There it is. If you do it you can do it right out of dash. But if you do it backwards, you can't do it. Well, technically you can, but it's a frame perfect window, and it operates off a completely different non-buffered mechanic. Well, actually, no, it's a buffered mechanic, but it's not the same buffered mechanic, I should say. Yeah, see, if you try to do it the same motion, Popo will do the attack first. And like we said, there's nothing wrong with doing it with Popo. It removes the ability for, or it causes the likelihood that Nana does the grab and she might accidentally throw. But also, you're less mobile with it. You can't chase after the ice shot, or you can't chase the blizzard and stuff like that. So, so it's not always as good, but it has its purposes. And actually, I think in tournament, I've been or not maybe not in tournament, but at least in practice, I've been getting a lot of luck grabbing with Nana more often as a mix-up. I don't know if it's just me or if it's something that I should try to work into my game more conscientiously. One of the things I've been thinking about too is working in a split stick desync, especially out of buffer options, especially against Meta Knight Tornado. Let's see if I can do this. No, it's not that way. I did it backwards. Because then you can have Nana charge a smash attack, and you can move with her. And it's just the buffer desync, split stick, and Nana will face the direction that you're facing. Is kind of the nice thing. So you can use it like in turn around forward smash to hit Meta Knight out of Tornado and stuff like that. So it's kind of useful. Another option I've been thinking of implementing is if you do a roll out of initial forward, out of a reverse forward roll, Nana will remain decent. You can actually pivot grab with her if you do this right. Let's see if I can do this. I'll do it like... It hurts my hand to do this. Like, it's not easy. There it is. Come on. There it is. Oh, I thought I had it. There it is. You can pivot grab with Nana if they chase after you in the roll. Kind of a nasty surprise if they're really going for you. If I get like really consistent at that, I might start messing that, breaking that into, breaking that out as an option on occasion. And then of course there's some platform stuff that you can work into Desyncs. If you just, if you do a 2-dash stance straight off a platform, because of the way Nana lands, you can actually create different situations. Like if I shield there, it creates a desync option. And then same thing off the ledge here. You can use, if you manipulate the space, you can come out desync as well and put pressure on and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things you can do with platforms that I think merits a little more exploration, but I don't really have like concrete thoughts on it the same way that I do this horizontal game of triple dash stance is super aggressive, 2-dash stance is slightly less aggressive, standing Nana is neutral, back roll is defensive, and then strict run away and out of shield desync as like 5 different options for depending on the scenario that you want to pick. One more thing that I've been thinking about mixing in is short hop air dodge as a desync. That you can set up a small window to do an option like that, the short hop air dodge. The problem is you can't fast fall it, so it's a little slow. Like it's a kind of a bait that people know with short hop air dodge that you're gonna do something. Actually, I should take that back. You can fast fall it, but you can only fast fall it backwards. And sometimes it's hard to get Nana to do it the correct direction. There it is. So you can't fast fall it, but only backwards. If you want to do it forward, you gotta. If you want to do it forward, you gotta do it the slow way. Unfortunately. So I guess you could always just turn around. Let's see if I can do this. Turn around and do the desync that way. Yeah, you do that. I guess that's an option, but you start mixing in. So the point being, from this video, I think I've rambled on long enough like a lunatic. Don't just settle for using only one desync option. There's a whole world of different options that you can go through. If you're interested in talking about any of these and learning any of these, feel free to DM me or shoot me a message on Twitter or something like that, or DM or at me on Twitter probably. I don't know if I'll answer my DMs on Twitter because I have them mutual only, I think. But I'm always willing to talk about these things, and it'd be cool to have more ice climbers to really talk these things over with. All right, thanks.